This is Baggies View. Coming up, we take a look to the future for West Bromwich Albion. Hello and welcome to Baggies View. I'm Paul Bradley and I'm joined in our Fort Dunlop studios by West Bromwich Albion correspondent Chris Lukowski. Hi Chris.
Hi.
Well, we're going to come to the match report in a minute from that game at St James's Park, but looking at the players and personnel first of all, who's given themselves a chance of staying on at the club who may not have, who've maybe been on the verge, I suppose?
Well, Abdullah Meite, the club have an option on him to extend his contract. He's technically out of contract. He did himself a few favours yesterday and he's not really performed too well recently, despite a brief surge in form, if you like. I suspect the club will have to make a decision on him in the next week or so. Marek Cech, Gianni Zyverlone and Charles Barnes are all technically at a contract as well, with the club having options on them. At least a couple of them have probably been told already that their futures aren't at the club. Roy Hodgson didn't want to say who it was, but I know that Marek Cech wasn't involved at all over the weekend, for instance. He was back home with his family. So it'd be interesting to see where to go. Roman Bednar, of course, also out of contract, so I can't imagine we'll see him again. But a few players obviously did themselves no harm yesterday. Simon Choi scored a hat-trick, which did his career prospects no harm at all. But I think there's still one or two doubts, in the manager's mind. What does he do? Pablo Ibanez, Gabriel Tamas is another one. Paul Shana maybe, is another one who maybe his future could be in doubt. It's certainly, if not in doubt, then the manager's certainly looking to strengthen that position. So there's a few players that he's got to think about. Gareth McCauley could be the first one in. Roy did confirm that he was hoping to bring him in the next week or so. The players are broken up now, so there's no rush on that front.
And do you see it being a summer of change at West Brom and a few new faces coming in, or is it going to maybe stay a little bit as a status quo?
Well, the key will be keeping the main players, Petrod and Wingy. It's going to be a really difficult dilemma for the club. If somebody comes in for him, he's going to be 30 years old this summer. If a big money offer comes in for him, the club will have to think carefully about it. I suspect they'll be looking for 8 figures before they even talk to anyone. If that amount of money came in, they'd have a tough choice to make because of his age more than anything. Also, we have to consider the fact that a player like that would need replacing if he was sold, and I'm not saying he will be, but if they did decide to sell him, they'd have to think carefully about replacements, and it's not easy to replace a player like that. But going forward, they are looking for more strikers to complement Odem Wingy. Andy Johnson's been mentioned. Goalkeepers, Thomas Kuszczak, who we've spoken about before, Andy Lonergan of Preston. Brad Friedel's had very preliminary talks. I think that's more of a case of Albion doing sort of their due diligence, if you like, with a player who's going to be a free transfer, free agent. So there's a few players they're looking at. They're still looking to bring in at least another defender, specialist right back, and a midfielder. So it's going to be a busy summer, but I don't expect to see an overhaul. It's going to be more fine-tuning, really.
Okay, and just looking back at the game at the weekend, just give us your brief verdict on that game, which was turned out to be a typical strange one at the end of the season, last game of the season.
It was a strange one. It looked as if both teams would happily see out a 0-0, but it was a great intensity to the game. Newcastle obviously went 3-0 up. Probably not the greatest goals from Albion's point of view that they conceded. Defensive and goalkeeper error, you could argue, for the second one, own goal for the third, but they bounced back superbly. I think special mention to George Thorne, who was really outstanding when he came on, really composed, gave the midfield a real edge in the half hour he played, and they were 3-0 down when he came on. So he had a really marked effect on the game. Simon Choi, of course, got a hat-trick, which, given his first half performance, he was probably lucky to stay on the pitch, along with a few others. It was that kind of first half, but he bounced back and did really well after the break.
Okay, Chris.
Sorry, I would like to also mention the fans. 2,500 Albion fans decked out in fancy dress, many paying tribute to Bomber Brom, which was a fantastic tribute, really. And I know I sat near Bomber Brom, I travelled up with him, and he was really, really touched and proud and humbled by the whole occasion.
Well, it sounds like it was a great atmosphere. Thanks for your thoughts today, Chris. And thank you for watching. We'll be back again next week with more Baggies View.